Hi, my name is Sindhushri and here at Athoz I work as a mental health therapist. My clientele involves working with people with depression and anxiety, and this is what I'm specialized in, and my major clientele involves people who have depression and anxiety. Anxiety is a very natural emotion that comes up when any of us are in a challenging situation with an uncertain outcome. So on that level, anxiety is a very adaptive emotion. Let's say I'm in a forest and I'm perceiving that a bear is going to come and attack me, and anxiety is going to help me with escaping the bear by giving me physiological symptoms like sweating, which is going to help me cool my body when I'm running away from the bear, or it's going to come up with increased oxygen, which is why I'm hyperventilating when I'm running away from the bear. So when you look at the fight or the flight response or the freeze response that is there from a long time, from an evolutionary perspective, anxiety is a very adaptive emotion. So anxiety in itself is not bad. It's very natural to have anxiety when you have an uncertain outcome and when the situation is very challenging. However, it can turn into a clinical disorder if anxiety is stopping you from living a normal life. If you're unable to function on a daily basis, and if it is stopping you from having a normal sleep at the end of the day, or if panic is making you skip meetings at work, that is when we come in and say that you have an anxiety disorder, and that is when we say that you need some psychological interventions to handle it more effectively. Anxiety, like I said, is not just one disorder. It's an umbrella term for different aspects of anxiety. I'll tell you a little bit about the different types of anxiety before we jump into dealing with it further. We have around 5 to 6 types of anxiety disorders, and the most common one that we know of is the panic disorder, where a person can have feelings of terror and panic coming up without any warning that can mimic a heart attack. So that is one. And the second one is generalized anxiety disorder, where you have a lot of unrealistic and irrational worry about the future. The third one is called as social anxiety disorder, which usually comes up when a person is very self-conscious about dealing with a social situation. Whether it is at work or whether it is at home or at leisure, something that involves a social situation and which is bringing up a lot of anxiety can be termed as social anxiety disorder. And the fourth one is OCD, obsessive compulsive disorder, which is pretty commonly heard kind of a clinical term everywhere. And OCD involves a lot of compulsive rituals that is driven by a lot of repetitive, problematic, difficult thoughts. And the fifth one is the PTSD, which is post-traumatic stress disorder, which can come up if you have gone through a traumatic event and it's coming up again and again in your sleep, in your day-to-day activities. If the traumatic event is repeating so much in your mind that it is crippling you to function normally on a daily basis. And the last one is very commonly seen everywhere, phobias, which can be a fear regarding a specific object or a specific situation, like for instance fear of heights, fear of snakes, so to say. So these are the specific situations where we particularly see anxiety being a very dysfunctional kind of a clinical disorder. And this is the common cases that we also get in our clinic here. Anxiety as a whole, all of us have gone through anxiety one time or the other in our lives. Let's say I have an exam coming up tomorrow, and I no matter how much well I have prepared, I will go through some kind of a nervousness or anxiety. And we all know the symptoms of anxiety. It can involve sweating, it can involve tingling in my hands, it can involve racing heart, it can involve repetitive racing thoughts in my head, dizziness, nausea. There are so many things that accompany anxiety, and it can vary from person to person. So when something as small as an exam can bring up so much of physiological symptoms, imagine what a clinical disorder can bring up. just going through these symptoms on a day-to-day basis repeatedly again and again can leave a person very exhausted, can leave a person to not get enough sleep, can leave a person to not function normally in their work life, or come back home and not have a good conversation with your spouse or have a good family life. It can have impact in a lot of different domains of your life. You might not be able to go and play your favorite sport because it brings up panic symptoms if you step out of your house. So anxiety on a whole can impact a person's life in different domains, and it can vary from person to person. For somebody it might just be a little bit of an impact, for someone else it can be a huge impact. At Athoz, we work from a mindfulness-based cognitive therapy approach, which is highly effective. Research says that mindfulness in conjunction with cognitive behavior therapy is highly effective. And all of us here are specialized in our own areas here. And I work mainly with anxiety clients, and I'm specialized in acceptance and commitment therapy, which is a contextualized based cognitive behavior therapy. We also offer specific mindfulness based interventions here. So to summarize, what we do here is we work with you in such a way that anxiety, which is such a big struggle for you in your life, is going to have so much less impact and influence over you. Anxiety will come down to a level where it is very easily manageable for you. We have all sorts of strategies, different kinds of strategies and interventions, from mindfulness skills to cognitive behavioral therapy strategies that can help you to handle anxiety more effectively. Definitely. Just to quote recent research from the Indian Journal of Psychiatry, 1 in 4 people, 1 in 5 in fact, 20% of the population has some sort of an anxiety disorder. So that's like kind of like 1 in 5, and that's huge for India and the population that we have. Whatever we do here at Athoz and the Mind Research Foundation is scientifically based procedures. Whatever we do here is coming from groundbreaking research. It's not something that we just do on our own. It's something that has validatory procedures behind it. So coming from something that is reliable and validatory approach, therapeutic approach, and we also sometimes have medication in conjunction with therapy, which is also highly effective and highly useful, which the therapist and the client can decide. It's not that everybody who has anxiety needs medication, but sometimes if the therapist and the client feels that medication in conjunction with therapy is going to be effective, then we're going to go ahead and do that as well. So we have a lot of different stuff that we do here, and we usually give an anxiety inventory when you come in on the first session, and then we do it at the middle of our therapy process as well, after like 3 or 4 sessions, and the client themselves can see a reduction in their symptoms, in the way they live a rich, full and meaningful life. So that's the biggest proof that we have here in our center, that our treatment approaches and our therapeutic approaches definitely work in helping you handle anxiety more effectively.